Smitty, give me 6 running backs you can't stop drafting.
These 6 guys right here are players I cannot stop drafting at their current ADPs, all of which, except for Jaylen Warren, in double-digit rounds. All potential league winners in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not standalone, but they're accoutrements, guys that can help assist you in winning your league. Let's break down all 6 of these guys. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Hey, Smitty, it's your boy Scott Hansen from NFL Red Zone, and 17 weeks of commercial-free fantasy football start now.
Let's go! Mashed potatoes!
Yeah, buddy.
I've never seen you wide shot there, my dude.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show.
Starting off with Chase Brown. Chase Brown is going in the 11th round, 11.1. You might get him at 10.1, 10.5, 11.4. It kind of all depends. And the general thing I'm going to tell you here, and this goes for every one of these guys and every piece of advice anybody gives you, or especially I give you, because I'm going to clarify it. When you're drafting, every platform, every format, scoring is going to be slightly different. And the content you get from the channel is going to help shape where you maybe take them in conjunction with their suggested rank, a la the ADP data that shows you where they're going to go in your draft. So you're on the clock, you see Chase Brown at 10.4 roughly, and you count out how far Chase Brown likely will fall when you're on the clock in round 9. You're gonna map this out a round earlier than a player's ADP. If he's going at, let's call it 10.12 to be safe, you're gonna plan out where you're gonna draft him while you're in round 9, looking at your round 9 pick, and you're counting out, and you're trying to see how far he'll fall. Where's his ADP? What's your next pick at? My next pick is at 11.2. Well, guess what? You're going to have to reach a round early for Chase Brown if your pick is 11.2. Even if you're like 1 or 2 picks before, that's pushing it. Now, Chase Brown is running with the starters. Every time they show footage of this guy at practice, in scrimmages, he's in the lineup. He's catching passes. He's pass protecting. He's ripping one up the middle. This is going to be the guy. It's his job to lose. Cuffing him to Zach Moss is a good idea, but it's not necessarily a must, like some of these other cuffs that we have on the board here. This is the must cuff board. Kyren and Corum, number 1. You don't even think about exiting your draft without Corum, but that doesn't mean we don't believe in Kyren. That does not mean that Corum's taking his job. Corum's getting Kyren coffee on a regular basis, but at the same time, the offense is so good. A very good Corum becomes great. A great Kyren becomes unreal. And so the combo gives you top 10 running back guaranteed numbers week in and week out. And Kyren, if starting, gives you top 1 to 5 numbers. But the duo is the best cuff in fantasy football. Achane, Wright, Mostert. Wright's universal to Mostert, universal to Achane. But I draft all 3. You can say, that sounds absolutely crazy. I've never heard of that in my life. Have you ever heard of an offense like this in years past? You have not. So this is a different situation, and it requires different innovative thinking. So grabbing all 3 RBs is a way to win your league. We're outside the box. We're not cookie cutter. And if you can't handle it, I don't know what to tell you. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, must handcuff. You got to do this. And I'm going to talk about Hall in a second. Connor Benson, Mason McCaffrey, but you also see Grendo's mug up there, so that's a trio as well. Let's get back to the point. So here we are talking about Chase Brown. We're talking about how Chase Brown is, cuffable to Zach Moss. It's an intriguing cuff. And Mixon had so much goal line work last year, and the fact that he didn't capitalize on a lot of it, it's kind of shocking how high he scored when he actually was not super and ultra efficient, but he just got volume. So we know that the running back, he's going to get volume because Mixon had it, but he didn't play all that well. He just got fed so much that he ended up somehow, some way finishing like number 4 or 5, depending on your scoring. And this guy's going to be electric out there. Big play potential. He's even said Zach Moss might be the up the gut grunt guy that's going to take some of that workload away from him so he can be the explosive, maybe Breece Hall type of player in the offense.
I said type of player. I
didn't say he's Breece Hall. But this has got that vibe to it, that feel. Chase Brown could win a league, and I wouldn't be shocked if he, at the end of the day, Gray is one of the biggest values in all of fantasy football, given the cost of entry. We're not talking about taking someone like Kyren in round 2 or 3 or Achane in 2 or 3 and winning your league because of it. That might be the best value overall, or Mahomes in 4. You guys know the deal and drill with my top 5 running backs are my top 5 overall best picks in fantasy. If you haven't watched that video, go watch it. If you don't know what the supernovas are, make sure I'll punch it at the end of the video so you know what I'm talking about. But Chase Brown in later value territories is maybe the biggest steal in 2024. Go do it live. Go get Chase Brown. Yeah, buddy.
You've just been Smitty approved.
All right, you heard me talk about cuffs. You heard me say, okay, the best cuffs in fantasy right here. Number 3, it's Braylon Allen and Hall. And, you know, Allen has standalone maybe 7, 8, 9 touchdown value without Hall getting hurt at all. I'm not saying he has 1,000 yards. He's going to be one of those low yardage, big touchdown guys until or if Hall gets hurt. And we hope to God Hall does not get hurt. If he does, this man is a monster. When I did my January rankings for running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, and I put that out there, this was my number 1 overall running back. Based on talent alone, not considering landing spot, not considering a bunch of other factors, no combine info yet, no pro day info yet, Allen was my number 1. He is a straight up monster. And if he gets into the lineup, he's going to bulldoze over people. And he's got a little Derrick Henry to his game. And if you don't believe me, watch a game or two. Week 1, week 2, you're going to come back and go, Smitty, why did the Dallas Cowboys not draft Braylon Allen? And I'm going to say,
I have no idea.
League winner, potential standalone, rags to riches cuff, bye week fill-in, decent touchdown shot each week, but league winner if he gets in rags to riches. Whereas this guy's actually a starter and he's going in the 11th round. Why are these two gentlemen, Chase Brown, and let's go over to Ford right now. Why are these two gentlemen, Chase Brown and Ford, starting running backs? They're starting running backs. Why are they going in the 11th round? Why are they going in even round 10? I don't know. You know, Nick Chubb's coming back. This is maybe a slightly better opportunity. If I'm on the clock, I'm taking Chase Brown over Ford. But Ford is a fantastic running back, 39, running back 40 overall. And he's a starting running back for a run-heavy team with a very good defense that's playoff bound. It control the game, run the ball, and they love using him in touchdown scenarios and getting the football in his hands when they're near the goal line. And this is a team with Deshaun Watson kind of shaky that when they get anywhere near the 10-yard line, they're running the ball. They're trying to run the ball into the end zone any chance they get over throwing the ball in the end zone. I can promise you that. This guy could be a steal in 2024. Like I said, I'm going Brown. If I can, I'm going Ford over Allen because this is a starter, but there is some rags to riches of talent here that could be different, you know, wrapped up different. Smitty approved on all levels. Allen, Smitty approved.
You've just been Smitty approved.
And this man right here, Jerome Ford.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Jaylen Warren, look, he had the hamstring injury. The momentum was there. He's in practice going up against the biggest defensive players on the team. The whole team's, crowd around him saying, you're a monster, and he's knocking people over. I don't know what to say other than pass protection. This is a receiving back. This is a guy that's going to have a kung fu grip on a lot of the PPR work already, and that makes him dangerous for Najee Harris. I think there are a couple running backs that have this kind of feel right now in 2024 that people are overlooking. Look at Tyjae Spears in Tennessee. You know he's going to be cemented into a majority of the PPR work. So what's that mean? Pollard is capped. Pollard, if he loses any of the rushing work, which he will to Tyjae Spears, then Pollard's going to be minimized to well below 50% of the workload. The same thing I think is going to happen to Najee, who I believe carries a little injury risk, even if you want to say, let's ignore the foot and all these different things that happen to him and say they're freak injuries. You can't call them an injury risk. Fine. I'm disagreeing with you. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, I just think this bigger, potentially slower player is going to maybe get banged up, and the guy that's already got a nice handle on the PPR game is going to get fed a little more, and then it's takeover time at some point during the season. It might have been that in week 1, 2, still could be, and then the hamstring injury, but he is said to be ready for week 1, and the takeover could happen right away, or it could take 6 weeks, it could take 8 weeks. This is not somebody you're drafting to start, just like you're not drafting Allen to start, just like you're being careful to grab have this guy as a running back 2. He's a better flex guy in Chase Brown, a running back 3, but it is someone that eventually can get there. Be careful when your expectations need to allow for time for him to get a hold of the job, to climb, to steal the job, and there's the risk that he never does, and he stays in a timeshare all year long. But I love this value. I love Chase Brown more. I love Chase Brown probably most on this entire board in terms of now value, knowing what we have in front of us. And then this guy, Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright is somebody that he kind of needs an injury, right? If Mostert goes down, or if, we're not going to say the other thing. We don't want anybody going down in this offense, but he's electric and he'll be utilized a little bit here and there. Might be inconsistent though. With Mostert and Achane healthy to really know when to play him. You'll put him in, he'll frustrate you, you'll take him out, he'll score 100, have 100 yards and a touchdown, and then you're like, damn it, I don't know what to do, because he's not going to be used until an injury happens, at least from a consistent standpoint. But he's an amazing cuff. He's like Braylon Allen, really, a guy you could plug in if you need a touchdown, a guy you can plug in on a bye week, but they're rags to riches, sleeping giants, and they can win you a league if they get into their lineups. And there's 2 potential injury entry points for Wright, which is very intriguing, right? If Achane gets abducted safely by aliens, this guy goes right into the lineup. If Mostert, who's 87 years old, gets injured, this guy goes right into the lineup. If anything, he has 2 pathways to the lineup. He has 1. Doesn't make him more valuable if he gets in there. It's just something that makes him a little bit more likely to see a starting role at some point or get some starts. But I love both of them near equally. And this man right here, Ray Davis, I expect at some point to start games in Buffalo. You can call that a bold, hot take. You can say, what basis, Smitty? Tell me. And I don't have anything but up here. Up here, something tells me that this monster on the ground, and I kind of link Frank Gore to him, even though Frank Gore's now in the practice squad. He got cut. Now he's on the squad. There's a potential that I'm my vision. I went to the mountains the other day, and I saw a vision, and the vision was not James Cook at the end of the season. Does he fumble the ball away? Does he get hurt? I did not see that part of the vision. The vision I had was that Ray Davis, maybe Frank Gore, probably Ray Davis, is in there just saving people left and right. In maybe double-digit weeks, I couldn't quite make it out, but I'm feeling the vibe, and I'm drafting him in the 15.9 territory like clockwork. I'm drafting these guys all over the place, over and over and over, because if I oversaturate my ownership, my percentage of ownership of these guys, it doesn't matter because they're so late. They're almost waiver wire fodder. You can almost drop any one of these guys for a waiver pickup each week. You're not putting your team at risk because these are all late players that won't cost you anything if you miss. I'm scooping them all up left and right. My favorite is Chase Brown, but I love them all. Right? Allen, Davis, Warren, Ford, love them all. Go do it live. Win a league. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Additionally live whenever news breaks. And get on over to Underdog, promo code Smitty. This is a limited time. They could turn it off at any moment, so run. The code Smitty or the link in the description of the video, but code Smitty gets it done as well. 50% matching your first deposit up to $1,000. Now, the minimum's only $10. You do $10, they'll give you $5. But if you do $2,000, they'll give you $1,000 in bonus cash. You do $100, they'll give you $50. You do $500, they'll give you $250, etc. Get on over to Underdog and do some pick'ems, for goodness sakes. Go do some pick'ems for week 1. Go do a week 1 draft. You can draft each individual week on Underdog. So week 1, you can draft for week 1 and do a best ball draft that has just week 1 implications. You can then get into week 2, draft for week 2, battle royales. And it's probably the funnest way to play fantasy during the week. So let me just say this. If you messed up in your draft, let's say you play in 1 or 2 leagues and you're like, damn, I didn't get the guys I want. I didn't get Kyron. I didn't get Achane. Each week, you can draft over again. Big money. Big, huge prizes. Even if you love your team's extra skin in the game, and you get to play a new, fresh contest. All the information you learn in week 1, you can go draft in week 2. Say, man, I didn't think of that. Now I think this. I'm going to draft in week 2 and try and win big cash money. And it's just Code Smitty, link in the description. Try it out. Draft for week 1. Get to know it. Draft again in week 2. Draft again in week 3. Maybe by week 5, you're an absolute pro. And you're, like I said, getting extra skin in the game, whether you have good teams, bad teams, or whatever. Maybe injury takes your team out in week 5 and you got to start over. You can start over every week. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. Now get out of here.